Yeah, so basically this unit will be a continuation of what we started on January, structured programming. And this is, like I said, this is the first style of programming that you learn as a programmer. There are a number of topics that you are to go through. I think I'll do a recap of the course outline so that you can see what was expected of us. And just a second, I try to open the course outline. Yeah, so remember, we don't have so much time, especially for those students who will be doing the exams this July, regardless of the fact that we still have a number of topics yet to be covered. Hope you can be able to see the screen that I have shared. Yeah, so this is our course outline, and the objective of the unit is to equip you as a trainee with knowledge and skills to write programs using structured programming languages. In this case, the language that we settled for was C programming language. And the first topic that we looked at was the introduction. Was introduction to structured programming, and we looked at various topics. We were able to look at what programming is in general. We looked at the history of programming languages, all the way from machine language to fifth generation languages. We were able to look at that one now is what we are referring to as programming paradigm. We were also able to look at the various languages under those classifications. We also looked at how you can translate your program from a high-level language to a low-level language. And then our second topic was program development and design. And in this particular topic, we went through the steps that a programmer is supposed to take when coming up with a program. So we say the first step is where you define a problem, you analyze that problem, you design it, code, run and test, and finally maintenance. And then we also looked at the different program design tools. So we were able to look at structure charts. We looked at pseudocode, and we also looked at flowcharts. Though I know most of you still under challenge with the program design, but I think we went through it, and I hope by now most of you and your colleagues can be able to create a good flowchart for any particular program that is given. We also looked at the program structure. We looked at the structure of a C program. And maybe you're supposed to start with processor directive, such as include stdio. You also have the main function. We also looked at data types. So we were able to see the 5 basic data types in C, from a simple data types, such as int, double, void, char, float, array. We also looked at how you can be able to variables in C. We also looked at operators. I think that is what we were looking at, if I can remember very well. We're looking at operators. I started by looking at arithmetic operators such as plus, minus, multiplication, division. We looked at logical operators. We looked at relational operators. We also looked at bitwise operators. And also remember, we looked at expressions. So we said an expression is where you can be able to combine a variable, an operator, and maybe a value. Okay. Yeah, I think that's where we ended. Also for program writing, I'm quite sure I did demonstrate how you go about creating a program using maybe something like Def C++ or code blocks, how you run it, how you remove errors and what have you. So that's the fourth topic on program writing. So the next topic we are supposed to look at is control structure. That was the next topic. But before control structures, I also needed us to look at input and output. I think I'm going to show you just some modified topics. Yeah, so after before control structures, I will also need to look at second. I will try to look at how you can capture user input before we go to control structures, though it's not highlighted in the course outline there, but we'll need to look at it. You see how a user can be able to input data. Say, for example, I want to calculate the area of a circle. Can I be able to ask the user to input the radius? Can I also be able to read maybe if the data was so much, so that maybe I've stored it in a text file? Can I be able to read it from a text file? What if I only wanted to read one character at a time? How can I go about it? Okay. We also look at outputting data now, or outputting the results of your program. Okay. How do I output my results to the program? What if I wanted to output to the screen, e.g., printing a single character? How do I go about it? Maybe I want to print a whole sentence. How do I go about it? Or maybe what if I wanted to output to a file instead? I wanted the results to be stored in a file. What do we go about it? So that's what we'll be looking at our fifth topic, right before control structure. Then after that, we look at control structures. So for control structures, we are trying to see how we will be trying to see how can we control the flow of our program. Because so far, what you know is the instructions are supposed to be executed from the top to the bottom, line by line. But what if we wanted in such a way that maybe line 3 and 4 can be repeated like 5 times before we go to line 5? That's why we use a control structure. What if we wanted to make a division in such a way that we can choose, even though my program is 10 lines, I only want 5 lines to be executed, depending on a certain condition. Okay. So that also we'll be looking at it under control structures. And for control structures, we'll be looking at the 4 different types of control structure, which we'll be looking at as we go by. Then for our 6th topic, we'll be looking at functions. Okay, we'll be looking at data structures, so I'll try to work on the course outline a little bit, because I need to look at subprograms first before data structures and file handling. So let's say topic 6, we'll be looking at subprograms. And like I told you, one of the strengths of structured programming is the ability to be able to compartmentalize your code. That is, you can be able to group a certain code and give it a name. So that aspect of grouping code, or the act of creating compartments, is what we'll be looking at under subprograms. And in this case, for C programming, we usually call them functions. That's what majorly we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at functions as our sixth topic. Then after looking at the functions, we'll also look at data structures. And data structures is basically how we group data. So we will be seeing how we can group data. We'll also be able to look at the different types of data grouping or classification. We'll also look at how you can sort data. And sorting is just basically arranging items to make them easier to search. We'll also look at search techniques and data structures. Then we'll also look at file handling. How do you handle files? And then we'll also look at program documentation. And the program documentation is basically writing about your code. You've already written your code, but now we need to write about that code. Either you want to explain the code to other developers, or maybe you want to explain to your end user. So you'll see what type of documents are you required to create in relation to your program. Under this topic we are calling program documentation. Then finally, we look at emerging trends in programming. We try to see what are the new trends in the market when it comes to structured programming. And basically that's our course outline. And for the resources, I'll be sharing a textbook here. I'll be sharing a textbook as for the reference book. You can also search for this book on fundamentals of using C programming, or any of these. But in my case, the book that we'll be using is this one, the last one, by a guy called Herbert. It's called the Complete Reference for the edition. So that's a reference book that you'll be using. So it's very necessary, or it's very essential. You obtain the book, you can get it as a soft copy or maybe a hard copy if need be. And then so that you can be able to read ahead. Since now you already have a schedule of our course, you can be able to read ahead, you can be able to look ahead. For example, if you are going to look at input and output, maybe you can read on control structure before you get there. So I'll be sharing the book here. Also, I'll be sharing the notes for the various topics. That is apart from the ones that I shared on Google Classroom. I don't know whether you are able to find them. I was able to share some PDF notes on Google Classroom. I'll also share the same notes on this platform that you can be able to follow. I'll be able to post the notes for all the topics so that you can be able to even look ahead. Then for evaluation or assessment, we had already done some assessments. Also, for the purposes of this platform, at the end of every session, that is at the end of every class, every week, I'll be giving you an assignment so that you can be able to test whether you understood the concepts that we went through that particular session. So for example, maybe at the end of this session, I'll be able to post an activity that is expected to be done before the next class. So all those activities that you'll have accumulated, you'll have done before you sit for the next exam, they will count for 30% of your grade. Then the next exam that you'll do will take 70%. Also, there is an important aspect here that we have mentioned. Student must have attended more than 80% of the total class. So maybe you and your colleagues might be wondering how will we be able to achieve that, how that will be measured. So for every live session that we'll be attending, it will also be considered the same way you'd have attended a face-to-face class. Okay, so we'll be taking an attendance at the end of every live session. And so for you to be able to do your final examination, you'll have to have attended at least 80% of the total classes. So then for this unit, it's also good I note that 70% of the unit is practical. And when I mean practical, I mean you'll be writing programs. Okay? So for the purposes of instruction here, all demonstrations, I'll be doing what we can call live coding. So I'll expect everyone, if you have a machine or a personal computer, at least you should have a compiler installed, preferably Dev C++, so that as I demonstrate, you'll also be doing it on your side. If it's maybe a concept I'm explaining on operators and we have an example program, I'll be able to try and run it from my side as you watch, and also do the same on your side, just to make sure that you're on the same page. So I suppose maybe for your case, you already have a personal computer. Yeah, so but for your colleagues who don't have maybe a personal computer, maybe someone has a smartphone, he hasn't managed to acquire a machine, he'll also be able to test our programs. There are some mobile applications. There are some mobile applications that you can use to write programs, that such as CPP for Droid. That's an application that you can find on Play Store. Yeah, so there'll be no inconvenience simply because you don't have a machine. But I would like you to encourage your colleagues to obtain a machine to make also the work a bit easy. So remember, next week we'll be starting on input and output in our next session this coming week. So unless you have a question, I think that's all for the introduction.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any question at the moment.
Okay, do you have all the tools that are required for this course?
Ati umesema nini?
You have a compiler installed on your machine?
Yeah, I have a working one.
And you also have some stable internet connection?
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. But in case of any problem, feel free to contact me either through WhatsApp, messages, or through my email.
Yeah,
and make sure you inform your colleagues to also take a point of listening in to the recording. So they'll be from the same link that you're able to access this live session. There will be a recording at the end of this class, so that you can be able to follow and see what you are able to discuss. Okay, and then I thank you for the session and I wish you a nice afternoon.
You too.